Yeah. So it's beautiful. Just turn your nose up at it.
Call to order of a meeting of Goodyear City Council, 10 April 2006. Start with the Pledge of Allegiance and invocation led by Councilmember Scott.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Heavenly Father, we ask you to guide this elected body to make the best decisions for the community. We also ask you to look after our staff as they go about their daily chores and to offer the same protection to our armed forces, wherever it may be. For this and all else we've asked in your name, we thank you. Amen.
Amen. Amen. Thank you. We have 6 of our council members in attendance this evening. Councilmember Antoniak is on a business meeting out of town and could not be here. I'd ask if Councilmember Souza would make a motion to excuse him.
Mr. Mayor, I make a motion that Councilman Antoniak be excused from this meeting because of business transactions.
I second.
Motion from Councilmember Souza and a second from Councilmember Lord. All those in favor signify by stating aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it, 6-0. We have minutes of a regular meeting held on 27 March, and there were a couple changes to that. They're in front of you. If anybody has any questions or comments or wishes to make further changes, this is the opportunity. Seeing none, the minutes are accepted for filing. We have no expenditures to ratify this evening. We'll now go to communications, and we'll start with comments, commendations, and presentations by mayor, council members, staff, or members of the public, and then after that, we'll go to report on current events. But first, let's start with the comments, commendations, and presentations, and we'll start with the public. And I think, do you have one for me?
No.
Glo, I thought Glo wanted to say something.
Okay, Glo McDonald.
Welcome, Glo.
As some of you know, good evening, Mayor and all the council members. As some of you might know, I'm not very well on hearing, and I forgot my hearing aids, so you're going to have to shout. This evening, I want to invite you to the open house of the Southwest Lending Closet. It'll be on Thursday, the 27th of April, from 4 to 6. And we are going to make a presentation to every council that has supported us. It's going to be a nice presentation. So I hope all the council members will come. And if they can't all come, make sure you get 1 or 2 or 3 people to come to accept the award. Also, I want you to know that in 2005, the Goodyear clients were served were 352, and we saved them from having to buy anything or rent anything, $26,852. Now that's impressive. But more impressive is that we give out these things free of charge to anyone in the Southwest Lending Closet area. And we have this past year, 2005, served 950 clients and saved them $80,569. So please come to our open house and see what else we do. I thank all of you, but do you have questions?
No, I'd just like to give her a round of applause.
You bet.
Thank you, Glo, and for everyone's information, Glo is a previous winner of the Goodyear Person of the Year Award. So, and the current president of the Southwest Lending Closet is Brenda Meyer.
That's
She's
right.
here, so.
Good job.
Okay, any other person from the public wish to make a comment, commendation, or a presentation? Seeing none, anyone from staff wish to do the same? Okay, opportunity now for council for commendations, comments.
This gentleman.
Councilmember Lord.
Yes, I attended the National Guard at the Phoenix Airport breakfast, and Colonel Anderson Jr. spoke, and they were very appreciative to all the cities who support the National Guard, and in respect to the fact that if employees that are part of the National Guard, when they're sent overseas, that the cities retain their jobs for them. So it was a nice special thank you. And you missed going through a 135R. Sorry about that. Then the other thing is that I attended Leadership West Class 12. We have some of our people and our staff going to that. And I gave a talk on our recreational department and our parks and the city center, which were all really three exciting things that are happening to our city. And also then I attended the garden and landscape show. And I just want to comment on this spring and summer booklets being sent out to everybody. This is absolutely, as everybody's seen, what a class act this is. And I just want to thank the departments for putting this on. It was really nice.
Okay, thank you. Are there any other reports on current events? Councilmember Holland.
We had our parliamentary classes on Saturday, of which we're all very grateful for. We learned a lot. But I got a chance to put it into play this morning as I led our lending closet board meeting. And it actually came out, I was like practicing the whole time I was doing it. And so I really got a lot out of it. And I just want to make sure that the council knew, as well as Dr. Scott, who insisted that we do this. So thank you. The second thing was I got an opportunity to tour a lot of the happenings that are going on in the city as far as water and the wastewater. And believe me, it's so exciting. I would hope some of the other council people will be taking the tour. It's very important. We sit up here and we approve things, but then we don't get out in the field to see what's actually happening. So I got to see the well drilling, and I went to the RO facilities, and I went down and toured the new wastewater happenings there. We're getting a lot of new pits dug, and it's all just very interesting. So I just want to let you guys know that we are out there and we're looking around. So thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. Vice Mayor Cavalier.
Yes, Friday I attended the Government Day at Daimler Chrysler Proving Grounds, where I had the opportunity to be there with many of our state legislators and had an opportunity to do a lot of networking and finding what their intentions were and the directions they were going on some of the House bills that were mostly the ones that are in committee. But to help really get a feel of which of the representatives are really pro city and which really we can't count on it. It gives you a good picture of who you can talk to. But I had an opportunity to spend quite a bit of time with them, and along with that, we tested a lot of new cars and the new Chrysler cars that are coming on the roads, and it was quite an opportunity. In fact, it was very exciting. But the networking was very important for the city, and I think at least gave me an idea of what is happening in the legislature and how they feel about some of the things that affect some of the bills that are before them that affect us as a municipality. Thank you, Mayor.
Okay, thank you. Okay, just one last. Well, before I do that, I want to thank Councilmember Scott for suggesting the training on parliamentary procedure.
Thank you.
That's very well for both staff and council. And it was a very good session, so thank you, Fred. And then I attended a meeting of the steering committee designed to prepare the West Valley Cultural and Heritage Plan. And it was our second meeting. We're making progress, but we're in the initial phases of preparing a plan which will be used to formulate how and where we want various activities and facilities for culture and heritage throughout the West Valley. One of the early steps, if not step one, is to prepare a survey, and I would encourage the council, staff, public here at today's meeting, and the public watching on the internet, if you would go to www.westvalleyarts.org, westvalleyarts.org, and click here to take our survey. It's a survey of what each of us as individuals would like to see happen in the West Valley from a cultural perspective. what's your current assessment of the value and quality of culture in the West Valley, and where you want us to go in the future. So we're expecting several thousand inputs on that, and we've asked if those listening to this right now would join in that. And by the end of April, if not before then, they're going to close out this survey. And certainly take the opportunity that presents itself right now, if you would. We'll now move to City Manager's report on current events.
Mr. Mayor, yes, I have 3 items. I'll be brief. The first one is heard Council talk about the success of the parliamentary training that took place on Saturday. I'd like to recognize Dee Cockrum, our City Clerk, for really setting that up and bringing that person on board. A lot of value there, so thank you, Dee. Appreciate that. The other thing is City Manager Stephen Cleveland is actually up in Prescott today over the next couple of days. He's part of the Arizona Town Hall, and they're focusing on growth and infrastructure as part of that town hall. There are about 150 participants up there. It was kicked off this morning by the governor, I believe at 7 a.m., so they're starting them early and finishing them late, but we do look for good information to come out of that town hall. Last item is Harvey Kraus has just a very brief communications to council as it relates to where we're at on our residential building permits. It was a question that was raised by council, I believe by you, Mayor, a few weeks ago, so asked Harvey to give a real quick update on where we're at with residential permits.
Mayor, Vice Mayor, the council members of the audience. The permitting dropped off somewhat in January, beginning of this quarter, and we reached a high of 357 at the end of the last calendar year, and for the first 2 months it has dropped off, and then permitting became stronger in March. Partly there's several explanations. I think that the couple of reasons why. I think some of the publicly traded companies that build try to get their numbers up before the end of the year for their stockholders, so I think they want to get as many permits in as possible. And then it did in January. We are kind of backlogged in terms of the number of permits that can actually physically be processed. So right now we have about 186 permits right now that are being processed. So the number should be strong in April again. So it's gotten stronger. Of that 186, about almost a half of them are one builder that's become, I guess, fairly bullish, I guess, on the economy. Is Syntax Homes, and about half of those numbers that they have is spec homes, and the other half are ones that they have contracts for. It appears that obviously what seems to be happening also in the market, and there's a builder in the audience who could probably verify that, some of the contracts have dropped off. Some of them haven't gone through with because people that have put their home up for sale, because there's more resales on the market, that's fallen through. They're not being able to move their home, so they're not able to buy the new home. So that has impacted the market somewhat. But in terms of permitting, it's still strong. It's probably not as strong as it was in 2005, but it seems to be the projections and what the development community and the builders are telling me. It's still fairly strong, and based upon the entitlement work that's going through, I'm optimistic that it'll continue to be pretty lively over the next several years. So I'm happy to answer any questions you have.
Susan?
Thank you, Mr. Kraus. What do you project 2006 to be the end? With 2006.
Mayor, Council, for budget projections, we added around 16% onto the calendar year. So we finished, we're talking a little about 3,300, low 3,000 total single-family permits, around 3,300.
And is that, I'm sorry, is that type of projection you'll be doing for 2007 also?
Typically, Mayor, Councilman Sisel, typically we don't go out that far and do those projections because the market is very sensitive and changes with interest rates and a lot of other factors that impact the market. So I'm sure the development community does, and the building community does some of that.
Thank you.
Hey, just one other question. Is there any backlog on inventory in the new home sales right now?
Mayor, council members, the number of spec homes, my understanding, aren't moving quite as rapidly. There's a builder in the audience who could probably verify that. So they have cut down on the building number of spec homes. That's my understanding. But the inventory of used homes or existing homes has increased dramatically over last year. At the end of last year, there was really a narrowing. What I've read in the paper and seen from real estate news is that it really the number of homes for sale in the market really increased dramatically after the first of the year.
On resales?
On resales. And that has impacted new home construction. There's no question about it.
Okay, thank you very much, Harvey. Opportunity now for, do you have anything else for us, Brian?
One last thing, Mr. Mayor, and that is just to acknowledge the spring spectacular that took place at the park this past weekend. And as I understand, it was a huge success. I personally didn't get an opportunity to attend, but hearing from several others, they're very proud of the results and proud of what our city staff was able to pull off.
Yes, compliment. I understand 3,500 folks showed up for that.
Yes.
Compliments to Public Works and Parks. Okay, it's now an opportunity for any citizen who would like to make a comment on any subject which is not on today's agenda. Would anyone like to make a comment on a non-agenda item?
Mr. Mayor, I have two speaker cards. The first one's from Julie Heinrichs.
Okay. Ms. Heinrichs?
Good afternoon, and I appreciate the opportunity to address you for just a couple minutes. It's, well, a simple but maybe complicated matter, and that would be speeding traffic. I live in Australia Mountain Ranch, and I live just on the backside of Elliott Road off of San Miguel 186. The problem that we experience is that the traffic, if it's going out towards like the Rainbow Valley area or west on Elliott, it starts to accelerate because it has no reason to stop. There are no more stop signs once they go through the stop sign at San Miguel, San Gabriel, and Elliott. So speed limit, although 35 miles an hour, it's 10, 20, 30 miles an hour over the speed limit easily. And my concern, of course, number one, is the elementary school on the corner and kids walking home. It's so easy for them, if they're going to catch a piece of paper that blows away, to step out in the street. A car going 35 could probably stop faster than a car going 50, 60 miles an hour. So that's one of my first, of course, concerns is the children that are in the area. And the other one is the bike path that goes parallel with it. I ride bike myself and often am almost blown off that bike path because the cars are accelerating coming out. The same is reverse coming in. So the traffic from, and again I'll refer to it as the Rainbow Valley area because I think you're pretty familiar with that, traffic coming in has no reason to stop until they get to San Miguel, San Gabriel. And so they're coming in, although the speed limit goes 45, 35, they're coming in at speeds much higher than that. So there's cause for concern as that as well. We have a rumor, I haven't confirmed it, I didn't do my homework ahead of time, so I apologize, that there was a fatal accident at 186 and Elliott several years ago. Several of my neighbors told me that. I'm new to the area, so I didn't get an opportunity to confirm that. So there is an issue with, if you're on 186 pulling out to Elliott, you can see traffic, not very well because there's a little bit of a curve in the road, but you can pull out, and if a car's coming at you at 35, it's okay, but if they're coming at you at 40, 50, 60, it's a little bit more difficult for them to stop and to allow you in. And then having the fact that I live against that road, the noise pollution from the cars accelerating and deaccelerating is quite irritating, I guess is probably a proper word for it. Cars going 35 miles an hour, we don't have a problem with it. The final issue is the truck traffic that goes through there. I understand there's a lot of development, and I applaud the development that goes on in Australia, and the dump trucks and the belly dump trucks that come through. They're probably not too bad on accelerating. Coming in, they're accelerating pretty fast. But it seems that this morning we followed a truck from the area of the high school, and they came down San Miguel and then Elliott out. They were on Australia, instead of going straight out in Australia, they came down San Miguel. There is no truck sign on Elliott coming in. Thank you.
Ma'am, in your note to us, you asked, would love to talk with us about this issue. So if the city manager would assign someone to...
And I failed to say, that was a letter I addressed to the vice mayor, which is, you just got to copy.
Well, someone will contact you.
That'd be great.
And they'll report to you and to the council the results.
Fabulous. I
If
appreciate
you're
the
satisfied, you'll have an opportunity to come back.
Okay,
Okay?
thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes. We also have a speaker card from Don Gonzalez.
Welcome.
Good evening, Mayor, as well as Council. My name is Dawn Gonzalez, and I am a new resident of Goodyear, less than a year, and I live at Palm Valley Apartments. My concern is since I've moved into the apartments, and this was something that I asked prior to moving in, I'm very close to the pool, probably one of the closest residents of the pool, and I was explicitly told that the pool closed at 10 p.m., and that if I had any trouble whatsoever, I would be able to contact the Goodyear Police Department, and they would consider it a noise disturbance and be able to respond as quickly as possible within reason to my concern and my complaint. Much to my dismay, since July of 2005, that has not occurred. And I have been in a constant battle with the management of my apartment complex, as well as the Goodyear Police Department, all the way up to Commander McLaughlin, in reference to having one officer tell me this, one officer tell me that. Case in point, I was specifically told by 3 officers, and I can give you the names if you'd like to hear them, that as a resident of an apartment complex, I do not have the same rights as a resident that resides in a home, which is not something that I'm used to hearing coming from the East Coast, and I'm sure by now you know that by my accent. My concern is that I was specifically told that there is such a thing as a noise ordinance and a disturbance, and that I should be responded to. That has not occurred. And unfortunately, just to share with you, Friday night, Saturday night, and Sunday night, I received 10 hours of sleep in 3 nights, because once I'm awakened, I cannot go back to sleep. I am a brand new career changer. I teach in the Avondale School District. I'm very happy to be here, but I need to be here for my kids. This week is Ames testing. I don't need to tell you that I need to be on my top shape for these children, and frankly, I'm not because of this dilemma. I urge you to assist me to rectify the situation and to get some help to resolve this issue. Thank you.
Thank you, and thank you for coming before us this evening, and we'll work this out quickly, okay?
Thank you.
And we'll get back to you, and Brian, if you'd report to council also as soon as possible on that.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We'll now move to the, is that all?
Yes, that's all.
We'll now move to the consent agenda, and I'll ask the city clerk if she would read the consent items by title only, please.
Item 8A, council approves the Baldwood Commons Comprehensive Sign Package dated March 13th, 2006, for a commercial center generally located on 9.82 acres at the northwest corner of Dysart Road and Van Buren Street in a general commercial district, subject to stipulations. Item B, council will consider confirming the following 9 members of the community to serve on the Citizen Personnel Committee. They are Lucia Augustralo, Jess Honest, Bill Blogg, Kent Conrad, Dorothy Krebs, Rob Tibbs, Terry Trost, Beverly Wachter, and Sean Wan. Item C, council will consider approving the special use permit to allow a T-Mobile wireless communication facility with a height of 50 feet on 0.001 acre at the Nagy Golf and Turf Facility located on the west side of Cotton Lane, about 1/2 mile north of Indian School Road at the General Industrial Zoning District, with a waiver from the height limitations to allow a height of 50 feet, subject to stipulations. Item D, council will consider approving the special use permit to allow a T-Mobile wireless communication facility with a height of 65 feet on 0.01 acre, located 1/3 of a mile west of Cotton Lane and about 110 feet south of the McDowell Road center line in the General Commercial District, with a waiver from the height limitations to allow a height of 65 feet, subject to stipulations.
Okay, thank you. Would anyone in the public wish to remove an item from the consent agenda? Would anyone on council wish to remove an item from the consent agenda? Okay.
Mayor?
Vice Mayor.
On 8B, I don't want to remove it, I just, can I question something?
Sure. Yes.
Have we received any other information on this other than what's in the COAC tonight, on this personnel committee? Citizen Personnel Committee.
That committee has not yet met, but they'll meet.
But I mean
Wednesday.
information from staff.
And if any of them are here, if you could introduce them, that'd be fine.
I don't believe any of the committee members are present tonight.
Okay.
And what we're doing on Wednesday night and Friday night of this week, the committee will be meeting to review the compensation of the council, retirement benefits, and health, life, and dental benefits. And so those meetings have not taken place yet. So we don't have any information to report, but we should have April 24th.
So that will be what the function of the council will be.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Souza,
Mr. Mayor?
would like to remove an item?
No, is it proper? Good.
Oh, okay, yes. Time for motion.
Okay. Mr. Mayor, I move that the council approve consent agenda 8A through 8D as read by the city clerk.
Second.
Motion from Councilmember Souza and a second from Councilmember Scott. Roll call vote, please.
Vice Mayor Cavalier,
Aye.
Councilmember Sousa,
Aye.
Councilmember Antoniak is absent. Councilmember Scott,
Aye.
Councilmember Holland,
Aye.
Councilmember Lord,
Aye.
Mayor Kavanaugh,
Aye.
6-0.
Okay, thank you. We'll now move to the business part of our agenda, and we'll start with, we have 3 items related to development agreement, an ordinance for zoning, and a preliminary plat for Taylor Woodrow and Las Brisas, and they all apply to the same acreage. Harvey, I understand you'll take the first one, and then Steve will take the next 2. But the council, if all right with the council, if there's no objection, we'll listen to all 3, and then we'll take each one individually. Okay, thank you.
Mayor, Vice Mayor, members of the council, members of the audience. This is a resolution to consider a development agreement with Taylor Woodrow, Arizona, Inc., regarding infrastructure development of approximately 115 acres known as Las Brisas Phase 1 at the southeast corner of Lower Buckeye Road and Perryville Road. This is Lower Buckeye Road to the north boundary, and Perryville Road is on the west side of the property in question. Excuse me. The surrounding properties, Las Brisas Phase 2, which is in the city, we're working on a development proposal, and that'll be coming shortly to you. Just basically a Phase 2 of the similar development. And then also city development is also proposed on the property just immediately to the east. And to the north is property that's located in Maricopa County, zoned 1 unit to an acre. To the west, of course, is Perryville Road, and on the other side, on the west side of Perryville Road, is Buckeye's planning area. Basically, the development agreement mirrors the memorandum of understanding that was approved by the council in May of 2005. There is nothing special or different about the development agreement. The dollar amounts are exactly the same as the MOU. And so I won't go into detail since we've been through the memorandum of understanding on other occasions. This property has also been annexed already by council. It was annexed in August of 2005. So at this time, we have the development agreement where the developer is agreeing to make certain contributions towards water, wastewater, fire services, O&M, and water to mitigate the impacts of this development on city services and facilities. So that's the first item. And then the second item, Stephen Crecchio is going to discuss the proposal for zoning, the final PAD. We combine the preliminary PAD and the final PAD as per the memorandum of understanding to agree to expedite the zoning process. And then finally is the preliminary plat. So unless the council, and then I will introduce Steve Crecchio come and speak about the zoning, Mayor.
Thank you.
Mr. Mayor, Vice Mayor, Council members, I'm doing the final PAD and the preliminary plat for Las Brisas. And as Harvey said, this is the location we're looking at right there. It's under 15.8 acres, currently zoned agricultural, urban, and utilized for agricultural uses. With the final PAD, this is what's proposed with the final PAD, total of 324 lots, 3 different lot sizes being proposed in a pod type configuration. And that's another look. This is the preliminary plat right here. Lot sizes, we have 60 by 117, 70 by 120, and 80 by 125 proposed with this plat. Overall net density is about 2.86 dwelling units per acre. 24 acres of open space will be provided in this phase, which will be about 21% of the total project area. 4 park sites, amenities including sports fields and courts, tot lots, and ramadas. There's also a portion of citywide regional multi-use equestrian trail proposed along the east boundary, which would be right in this area, which would then continue south towards Broadway through Phase 2 of Las Brisas. Luke Air Force Base has reviewed the subdivision, is recommending developer provide notice and disclosure for future home buyers. Staff and the Planning Commission both recommended approval subject to the stipulations in the staff report. And that concludes my part, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, thank you very much. Opportunity for the applicant.
Mayor Kavanaugh, Vice Mayor, members of the council, for the record, my name is Tom Blake, representing Taylor Woodrow Homes, 6720 North Scottsdale Road in Scottsdale. Actually would just offer that in addition to myself, we've got our engineers and land planners here to answer any questions that you might have. We appreciate Harvey's and Stephen's comments and help along the way. As they said, I think we've mirrored what the other 16 property owners were doing, or the other 15, in the intent of the MOU and then memorialized in the development agreement. We think it's a great plan, but rather than ramble on, I just would be here to answer any questions you might have.
Okay, thank you very much. Do we have any comments from the public? Okay, seeing none, what we'll do is we'll start with the development agreement, and I'd ask if we could have ask the clerk if she would read that resolution by title only, please.
Resolution 2006-1036, approving a development agreement with Taylor Woodrow, Arizona, Inc., an Arizona corporation, regarding the infrastructure development of 115.8 acres generally located at the southeast corner of Lower Buckeye Road and Perryville Road within the city of Goodyear, and providing for an effective date.
Okay, could I have a motion, please?
Mr. Mayor.
Yes, sir.
I'll make the motion. I motion we accept Resolution 2006-1036 as read by the clerk.
Second.
Motion from Councilmember Scott and a second from Councilmember Holland. This is, we're talking about the development agreement. If you do have a comment on the plat, we'll hold that until we get to it. But, other than that, we won't be too restrictive on this discussion. Okay, let's start on anything on the left side here. Any comments? Okay. Okay, great. Call for a roll call vote, please.
Vice Mayor Cavalier,
Aye.
Councilmember Sousa,
Aye.
Councilmember Antoniak
Absent.
is absent, Councilmember Scott,
Aye.
Councilmember Holland,
Aye.
Councilmember Lord,
Aye.
Mayor Kavanaugh,
Aye.
6-0.
Okay, we'll now move to the rezoning of the property, and I'd ask for if the clerk would read the ordinance associated with that rezoning by title only, please.
Ordinance 2006-983, providing for conditional rezoning of 115.8 acres of land generally located at the southeast corner of Perryville Road and Lower Buckeye Road from the agricultural urban district to the final planned area development district for residential development known as Las Brisas Phase 1, amending supplementary zoning map number 604188 to provide for the change in zoning, providing separability, and providing for an effective date.
Thank you. Can I have a motion? Councilmember Scott.
Motion to accept ordinance 2006-983 as read by the clerk.
Second.
Motion from Councilmember Scott and a second from Councilmember Holland. It's open for discussion. Can I have a roll call vote, please?
Councilmember Sousa,
Aye.
Councilmember Scott,
Aye.
Councilmember Holland,
Aye.
Councilmember Lord,
Aye.
Vice Mayor Cavalier,
Aye.
Mayor Kavanaugh,
Aye.
6-0.
Okay, we'll now consider approving the preliminary plat for Taylor Woodrow. And could I have a motion to approve the preliminary plat, please?
Mayor?
No, Vice Mayor Cavalier?
Yes, where is it? I'd like to make a motion that the city council approve preliminary plat for Taylor Woodrow Homes, subdivide 115.8 acres into 324 single-family lots and 24 tracts, as read, and for residential development known as Las Brisas Phase 1.
Okay, thank you.
Second.
I have a motion from Vice Mayor Cavalier and a second from Councilmember Souza. It's open for discussion. Let's go with Councilmember Souza, and then we'll. Right.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The question I have is regarding entries to the property. How many lanes are lanes are there to the entries, each one of the entries?
The main entry off Lower Buckeye,
Yes.
there's 2 lanes, north and south.
North and south?
Yes,
North and south?
yes.
Okay. Good. Thank you.
Hey, Vice Mayor Cavalier.
Yes, 2 questions, one on pedestrian traffic that has to do with that same thing. Those are sidewalks, and what are the width of those sidewalks coming in and out and around the,
I believe there's 8-foot sidewalks on each side of the collector. Yes.
oh, very good, thank you. And track Q, is that the area that's would be the ballpark? I mean, that's a large area to be open space. That is a park, I presume.
It is a park, yes.
And that will be a grass area for ballpark. Because you mentioned ballpark in the, okay, that's what I wanted to say.
Yeah, there's a soccer field, a baseball field, some basketball courts, but yeah, it's the central park
That
for
is in
Phase 1, yes.
in track Q.
It is.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Councilmember Souza.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to point out that this development has 212 lots that are larger than 60 foot by 117. And I think that's a good move on the part of the developer. You're going beyond what the city require it in lot sizes, and it kind of gives more room in a community, which people are demanding. Well, thank you for that.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, thank you. All those in favor of the motion to approve the preliminary plat signify by stating aye, please. Aye. Opposed? The ayes have it, 6-0. We'll now go to the last item on our business agenda, and that's a preliminary plat for Province at Estrella Mountain Ranch. And Farhad Tabasoli will present this for the staff.
Thank you, Mayor, council members. As you mentioned, this is a consideration for a preliminary plat for an active adult community to be named Province. I'll begin by orienting you with the site. It's located in Village 10 of Estrella Mountain Ranch. It's about a 541-acre parcel right now, and incidentally, directly to the north is Villages 7 and 9. That was approved well over a year ago, the final PAD amendment, that is. And the property is bound by the Estrella Parkway alignment to the east, Cotton Lane alignment to the west, and the Pecos Road alignment to the south. Now, the PAD amendment for what was known as at the time as Estrella Mountain Ranch Village 10 was approved in April of 2005, and now the applicant is coming forth with a preliminary plat submittal for consideration. And again, 541 acres. The applicant is proposing to subdivide this property to 1,782 lots, and also consisting of 170 tracts. Lots would range in size anywhere between 4,950 square feet, or 45 by 110, and 7,700 square feet, or 70 feet by 110 feet. The density, the overall density would be about 3.3 dwelling units to the acre, which is allowable per the PAD amendment that was approved back in April of 2005, and it's also consistent with the general plan. And real quickly, I'll run through the, give you an idea of how the developer plans to phase this development. Phase 1 this, of course, is zooming into the site. A little too much. I think that's the best I could do there, but phase 1 would consist of the internal collector coming off of Estrella Parkway to the east, as I mentioned right here. This is the entry collector into what would be Calistoga Drive, which is a circular collector road serving the development. The Estrella Parkway would be also included in the first phase. That would consist of full street improvements, as well as a secondary emergency access to the southeast. As far as the lots are concerned, phase 1 would consist of 643 single-family lots. Phase 2 would consist of about another third of the internal collector, or Calistoga Drive, and the second entry collector into what would be the future alignment for Cotton Lane. This will also consist of Cotton Lane's half-street improvement to the half-street improvement extending from Rainbow Valley Road down here to the south, and then the rural road improvements are a 2-lane portion of Cotton Lane to the north, extending into Estrella Parkway. The number of lots would consist of 663 single-family lots. And finally, phase 3 would consist of remaining 476 residential lots, and will include the balance of the internal collector, as you can see there, and the remaining half-street improvements, along the northern portion of Cotton Lane. And that's essentially it as far as the phasing is concerned. So having looked at this, staff is recommending approval because it is consistent with the PAD as well as the general plan, along with the 48 stipulations that you see before you. I should also mention that the fire service agreement for this area is also in the works, and the intent is to bring it before you at the next city council meeting for consideration. That concludes my comments, and I'll be happy to answer any questions.
Okay, thank you very much. Opportunity now for the applicant. Mr. Bull.
Thank you, Mayor, members of the council. Ed Bull, 702 East Osborne, representing Engel Homes. We certainly appreciate the commission and staff recommendations for approval. We accept all 48 stipulations. If you need a presentation, I'll be happy to give it. If you have questions, we'll try to answer them. Things that we were asked to study on, we've studied on. We would request your council's approval in accordance with the recommendations that are before you, and look forward to proceeding with this development.
Okay, thank you very much. Do we have any comments from the public? Seeing none, we have a preliminary plat. Could I have a motion, please? Councilmember Lord.
I move we approve the preliminary plat for the province at Estrella Mountain Ranch, subdividing 541 acres into 1,782 single-family residential lots, generally located at the southwest corner of Estrella Parkway and Cotton Lane in the amended planned area development district for Village X of Estrella Mountain Ranch, Phase 2, subject to stipulations.
Second.
I have a motion from Councilmember Lord and a second from Councilmember Scott. It's open for discussion. Councilmember Souza.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'd like to address the concerns, and I'd like to read them, that were brought out by the Planning and Zoning Commission meeting. This preliminary plat request was heard at the regular Planning and Zoning Commission meeting on March 15, 2005. Commissioners Larvitano, Osborne, and Gilzer were concerned by the lack of neighborhood amenities such as neighborhood commercial businesses, medical facilities, dog parks, and children's recreation amenities to serve this and other proposed developments, as well as existing developments in Estrella Mountain Ranch. Chairman Horstman suggested that the Newland community should have a representative present at all subsequent commission meetings involving EMR to assist them in determining how each development phase fits within the grand scheme of EMR. The same commissioners also felt that although province will be an age-restricted active adult community, some accommodations should be made for visiting children, such as tot lots and separate swimming pools. Mr. Gieland of Engel Homes said that they would take the commission's comments into consideration before the city council meeting. I'd like to know how these concerns were addressed.
With respect to the request that Newland representatives be in attendance at future hearings, and that Newland representatives visit with planning commissioners on Newland's, what I'll refer to as big picture vision for Estrella Mountain Ranch. Newland representatives, as you know, are typically in attendance at hearings here. They could not be that night because their entire crew was out of state in some meetings involving Estrella Mountain Ranch. However, Bill Pennington is here this evening. In addition to that, there has already been some visioning kind of communications that have occurred between Newland representatives and various city representatives, and it's my understanding that there will be some additional follow-up, one-on-one or two-on-two kind of discussions between Newland representatives and planning commission members and council members, if you choose, as well, on bigger picture visioning kinds of things. In the course of those discussions, I think Newland will be prepared to discuss, outside of the context of a public hearing, Newland's current status for things like commercial development or medical related services and so on, which are some of the things that commissioners asked about that Ingle wasn't in a position to answer as a home builder, and I could only say so much that evening as a representative of Newland without a Newland representative being there. With respect to the issue as to whether or not a tot lot or a separate children's swimming pool should be provided here within Province, which, as you know, is an active adult community. I alluded to that in my opening comments as saying we were asked to study some things, and Ingle had done so, and I can elaborate on that more if you would like. In fact, we have an exhibit and some other information here that I can talk with you about. In that, the Commission did ask us to ask Ingle to consider the possibility of putting a tot lot and/or putting a separate children's swimming pool in a part of our amenities package here within Province. It's something that Kip Gilliland and I addressed to some extent in front of the Planning Commission, but we needed to study more on. Paul Smith, who's been in the active adult business through Del Webb and now with Ingle for upwards of 25 years, became very involved in those discussions with Ingle, as did others. In studying that issue, one of the things that was prepared was, this map. I'm going to try to put it on your Elmo, but I know I'm going to be sliding it back and forth. Mayor and Council, if you'll bear with me, down at the bottom, this triangle is Village 10, which is the plat that's before you. This red area reflects the active adult facilities. It includes an approximately 42,000 square foot, what I'll refer to as recreation building, with a number of inside amenities, and then of course there's outside amenities of various types as well, which we can go into as much detail as you'd like. As I slide this exhibit down, we're really moving north as we go this way. The red areas are intended to reflect other park areas or school areas, or importantly, the recreation facility that exists adjacent to the lake system today. These other facilities, consistent with the vast majority of Estrella Mountain Ranch, these other subdivisions and facilities are family-oriented developments and family-oriented facilities, with Province being the only active adult community within Estrella Mountain Ranch. As we looked at the amenities package that we need to provide for our active adults and amenities packages that are being provided elsewhere, which are family-oriented, including the Star Point facility that's up here by the lakes, one of the things that became very apparent to Ingle is, one, we're providing an active adult community in Province here in Goodyear is intended to be every bit as good or better than Ingle's Province development in Maricopa, which just received the national award for being the best new active adult community in the United States. So in conjunction with Paul Smith's expertise and others, we feel that we have a pretty good idea of the types of facilities and recreational amenities that our residents desire. We also know that Newland has, and their predecessors, have worked closely with the community and the city in providing other recreational opportunities. Importantly so, we think that some of the children-oriented facilities that are provided up by the lake or elsewhere are designed right, built right, managed right, observed correctly, and so on, as children-oriented facilities. And importantly, our residents in Village 10 will be paying all of the same homeowners association fees as every other resident elsewhere in Estrella Mountain Ranch, which includes our residents will be paying for and having everybody as much the same rights to recreate in these other facilities, including the residents club up by the lake, will have all the same rights and pay for all those same amenities as anyone else in Estrella Mountain Ranch. Plus, our residents will be paying for their active adult amenities that are located down here within Province and are restricted to Province's active adults. So What we are is a patch within a very large master plan community patchwork quilt. And in that patchwork quilt, there's a number of family-oriented and children-oriented amenities that include not only pools and tot lots, but other kinds of things that I say Ingle is convinced are properly designed, built, managed, and maintained, insured, and so on. And we have a strong internal feeling within Ingle, based upon their experiences as Ingle and as predecessor companies, of the amenities package that our residents will really want and use and be willing to pay for, and also the knowledge that we're going to be paying for other facilities outside of the boundaries of our own development that our residents should use, can use, and we hope will use as a part of the integration of the overall community. So it's a request to study a couple issues, which is what Ingle was asked to do. As I'd indicated earlier, Ingle studied them significantly internal, had some additional discussions with staff about them. It's an issue we were asked to study. We were not stipulated to do them, but we were asked to study, did so, and believe that what we really need to do is provide the right kind of amenities within our development, and then continue to support financially and otherwise the family-oriented amenities outside of our particular village that we'll be helping to pay for, and we know will be properly maintained, properly observed, properly insured, and so on.
You addressed the recreation areas. I'm really concerned also with commercial properties, and you indicated to the Planning and Zoning Commission that Ingle is not in the business of establishing commercial property. But I think that Newland ought to be seriously considering commercial properties in the Estrella Mountain Ranch area, because as they move further south, they're stretching the ability for the people in Estrella Mountain Ranch to avail themselves to commercial properties. If they're going to have to shop, they're going to have to come across the river and shop in areas that are already established in and around I-10. And that's going to be a long distance after a while. So they better start thinking about some commercial property in the mountain area, as I see it.
Mayor, Councilman, Newland is doing what you're asking them to do. They are studying that. Bill Pennington, who is here on behalf of Newland, may be in a position to elaborate more than I. It's something that Newland is taking seriously. As you know, there's other sites within Estrella Mountain Ranch which are zoned for commercial development. There wasn't much I could say on behalf of Ingle when we were in front of the Planning Commission. There's a variety of things that I think Ingle has indicated to some council members or to will be indicating to planning commissioners, akin to one-on-one discussions that city representatives have had with another commercial developer here in the city as to the status of various things. But there's only so much that you can discuss in a public hearing format when those are really very preliminary kinds of discussions in a very competitive world where leases aren't signed. So all I can tell you is that I have been reassured by Newland that commercial development, including commercial retail and services and medical services and so on, is something that is very much on their radar screen and is something that they hope to be bringing to Estrella Mountain Ranch within the next, I will loosely say, couple of years. And I would hope that that's something that would coincide nicely with, say, occupancy of this development and so on.
Well, I think you know where I'm coming from. I've been here for 10 years now, and the only property, a commercial property that I see that Sun Chase put in was a gasoline station and a convenience store. And that's the only service, that commercial service that the folks in Estrella Mountain Ranch really have in close proximity to their residences. So and as we build more residential area in Estrella Mountain Ranch, I think the developers are going to have to start seriously considering about more commercial property.
Mayor, Councilman, unless Bill has something to add, all I can tell you is I've been assured that they are considering it seriously and that they do see it a part of this mixed-use community. And I don't know if you want to add to that or not. But
Good evening.
Mayor, Vice Mayor, Council people. My name is Bill Pennington, I'm Vice President of Newland Communities. And just to set the record straight, I called all the P&Z people and apologized to them. We should have been there that night, but as Ed said, we were out of town and we messed up. But they graciously accepted my apology. I also understand there were comments made that night, just what you're bringing up about commercial sites. So without getting into all the details, because some of the agreements haven't been signed yet, I'll give you a broad brush of where we are.
I appreciate that.
Across the street from Star Point, and I think you're all familiar with Star Point, our residence club, and to the east of this gas station that you mentioned, there's a 27-plus acre commercial site. And when Newland bought the property, we took it in one big takedown. We took a certain amount of acres in our first takedown. We take more acreage each May in further takedowns, all the way, I think it's 6 more takedowns to eventually own the entire Estrella Mountain Ranch. So what we've done is we've talked to Sunchase. This commercial piece was in our 4th takedown. We've made an agreement with them. It's cost us some money, but we've taken it and we've moved it up into our, not this next takedown this next month, but in May of '08 is when we'll take down that commercial site. In the meantime, we're working with...
Define takedown.
Well, it just means we own it.
You own it.
We don't own that site right now. It's still with Sunchase. Our initial money that we put down to buy Estrella bought us about 3,800 acres, give or take. So every May, we give them more money and we get more acreage for that. So in our 4th takedown, that's when we would have gotten this commercial site. So now it comes to us in, it comes to us in May of '08. So in the meantime, this year and next, we'll be developing the plan for the shopping center that's going to go there on that corner. I mean, we realize it desperately needs to be there. Should have been there a long time ago. But, you know, we've only been in town with Estrella since May, and it took us a while to get our arms around 20,000 acres and, you know, kind of really realize what we have here. It's a very exciting project. I was born and raised in Phoenix. I was at the original opening of Estrella with Mr. Keating way back when. And it's a pleasure for me to come back to Estrella with a company like Newland, who is a developer, a national developer. We have 52 communities throughout the country. And when you pay that kind of money down to buy a certain amount of acreage, you can't just sit on it. We've got to go forward. So that one of the things we're doing for sure is this commercial site. We desperately need it, and we're actively pursuing that with a couple of shopping center people. We also have a commercial hub planned for down just past the high school on Estrella Parkway. That's a whole nother commercial area that we're going to develop immediately because we realize people need to shop and they need a job base, and we need that also to make a successful community. So it is in the works. I know it's hard to tell you in 2 years you're going to have a Bashas' or whatever at that corner.
They realize that.
After you've been waiting so long for something there. But when I first got here, I was surprised people weren't coming to our meetings out there with torches wanting to know, you know, where can they buy a loaf of bread that isn't $5. So anyway, we're working on it.
Okay.
So
well, thank you very much.
we're very pleased to be here. I couldn't be happier. I'm really thrilled to be a part of Estrella and the city of Goodyear.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, Councilmember Holland?
Mr. Bull,
Yes.
I just wanted to tell you that I'm pleased with how you solved some of the planning and zoning concerns, especially about the tot lots and the pool recreation areas. I live in an active adult community, and it's always been kind of an issue with what you do when the grandchildren visit or whatever. And it seems like you have come up with a solution that would work for everybody. At least it works for me, and I would really appreciate seeing how it starts to operate after you guys get up and running.
Very good. Thank you.
Councilmember Scott?
I also agree with what Councilor Collins said. I think this is going to be a fantastic project. It's really going to be nice. My question is, I knew that we had some plans for commercial property. What is the population now in Estrella Mountain Ranch?
Population is somewhere around 7,000 people. I want to say 6,500.
Okay, so we're long overdue then for some sort of medical support out there. Now, well, let me tell you, those numbers you are. And
You mean like a doctor's office?
yeah, well, whatever your plan entails, I don't think that this one little project needs a bunch of physician offices. But Estrella Mountain Ranch probably definitely needs something, and I'd be inclined to start with an emergency center of some sort. But that's just my opinion. We need something there to support those people. That's not what we're here to talk about tonight, but before we go there.
Okay, thank you.
Well, we're real pleased with the plat, and if you're inclined to approve it, we'd be real honored to.
Seeing no further discussion, we have a motion and a second to approve the preliminary plat for Province. All those in favor of the motion signify by stating aye, please.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? The ayes have it, 6-0.
Thank you.
Thank you. Would any of the council members like to direct an inquiry to staff?
Only to read any of the action items. I think we picked up 2. That was it.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, council members, there are 2 action items that we'll be following up on as a result of tonight's meeting. First one is with Julie Heinke's the concern she brought to us regarding the traffic and the speeding in Estrella Mountain Ranch. The second one was Don Gonzalez at Palm Valley Apartments regarding noise ordinance and the pool hours and those types of things. We'll prepare a response back to her as well. Once we finish the response, we'll get that back to council.
Mr. Mayor.
Yes, sir.
Also, direct you that to look into that sign. That signage is missing, and I know it was there at one time, the no truck sign, and I don't know what happened to it, but they said it has disappeared. I haven't been out there to see that. If you look into that, I sure appreciate it.
Okay. Okay, thank you. Good point. Okay, this meeting's adjourned. Thank you.
Thank you.